Hello, everyone, and welcome to the sharing group, y'all. Today's lesson of A Course in Miracles is lesson 91, which states, miracles are seen in light. Miracles are seen in light. And there are so many layers to that statement. I just wanted to read the text a little bit. It says, it is important to remember that miracles and vision necessarily go together. This needs repeating and frequent repeating. It is a central idea in your new thought system and the perception that it produces. The miracle is always there. Its presence is not caused by your vision. Its absence is not the result of your failure to see. It is only your awareness of miracles that is affected. You will see them in the light. You will not see them in the dark. And I love that lesson, and I'm so very pleased to introduce you all to my dear friend, Charlie Bannon, who has most certainly seen his fair share of miracles. Charlie Bannon is a psychotherapist, a counselor, and mental health social worker who has turned his own experiences with the dense energies of depression and heaviness into rich opportunities to connect with others in a heart-centered way. Charlie, what an honor it is to have you on the show. We've had many conversations, and I'm just so excited that I get to introduce you to all of my friends. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, Loretta, and thank you so much for having me on the show here.
Yes.
So I can't believe I'm on the show. Actually, I saw you a few months ago on YouTube, and I really liked your vibe. I told you this already, but
Yeah.
just for your listeners, I really liked your vibe. I had no idea I would ever be talking to you or that we would get to know each other. And then my friend Yvonne Sneeden was on your show. You interviewed her a few months
Mm-hmm.
ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But more recently, you were talking about a dream you had with one of your guests.
Mm-hmm.
And in that dream, okay, there's dreams and then there's dreams which are not dreams, but they are spiritually transformative experiences.
Yeah. Yeah.
And in this particular dream, which was very real for you, you were holding a baby.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, correct me if I'm saying this wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
you were guided to love the baby.
Mm-hmm.
And when you looked at the baby, it was you as a baby. And I said, I have to email Loretta. You gave your email details at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason I emailed you was because I have met Lorna Byrne a few times.
Okay.
I think I was the last person in the world to know about Lorna Byrne. She describes herself as an Irish mystic who has had at least two near-death experiences. She has spoken to angels and the deceased all her life. And for her, she cannot understand why the rest of us can't see this. And yet she's a very practical, down-to-earth person. But she talks about the importance of self-love, and she set up a free online course on her website about how people can help themselves love themselves more, because the world is so harsh at times and so difficult and so challenging and really grinds us down. And often we believe we don't deserve love.
Yeah.
She's turning that around. It's one of the things she's doing. And the very first part of the course, she says, get a photograph of yourself as a baby.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone saw that baby, what could they do but love them?
Mm-hmm.
That's the love you deserve. So when I heard about your dream, I said, I have to get in touch and tell you this.
And I'm so glad that you did, Charlie.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you did. We have so many of the similar experiences. We've had so many similar experiences. And yeah, thank you for listening and reaching out. And that was a dynamic dream. It was I immediately knew the message from that dream, to love
Yeah,
ourselves and be patient with ourselves as if we would a baby, right?
exactly.
Yeah. So I would
And
love to hear some of your spiritual experiences and your visions.
all right. So to answer your question about some of my experiences, the earliest one I can remember, I was 4 years old, but I had others. So I feel that life has given me a lot of experiences so I can understand what others are going through and that I play a role in helping them. Like ultimately, we all heal ourselves, but in my role, not only as a mental health social worker or as a psychotherapist, but just in life, the people I tend to meet in life, um, I do feel I have a role in helping them to find the way to help themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And in my one of my experiences, I was shown that. But um, yeah, I started. Okay, among the experiences, okay, I've been a religious person. I've been an atheist. I've
Mm-hmm.
been philosophical, and now I would describe myself as a spiritual person. So, religion doesn't really work for me, but I remember when it did. So I can understand a genuine religious person, their point of view.
Mm-hmm.
An atheist who believes in nothing, I can understand their point of view also.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, yeah, it's a good position to be in. Now, when I was 19 years old, I was very depressed, extremely depressed, and I wanted to end my life. And I have been depressed from about 10 years of age because I grew up in an abusive household. By 13, I thought, my life was going to get better because I was moving from primary school to secondary school. But there it got worse.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought I cannot handle this. I cannot handle
Mm-hmm.
being alive.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to think of painless ways to end my life. Um, I was still religious at that stage, so I had a fear of going to hell. It was kind of the Catholic upbringing. We were told anyone who died by suicide, they were going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of scared me into staying alive. Um, by the age of 17, I started doing martial arts, and there I felt I was getting some control of my life because nobody would bully me after about 6 months of training. Nobody would bully me anymore. They
Mm-hmm.
couldn't control me anymore. And about 2 years later, things got really bad again. Um, Without going into detail, I discovered I was not the only one who was abused in my home,
Mm-hmm.
and that really devastated me. And okay, to summarize, I couldn't talk to my parents because they denied everything,
Mm-hmm.
and I cannot stay at home anymore. I cannot live in this environment. So I moved with the intention of never going back. And that was extremely sad, extremely depressing. I used to meet my mother from time to time and try and say, look, I can get you out of there. There were other relatives also who were willing to get her out, but um, religion made her believe that she had to stay with her abusive husband,
Mm-hmm.
and she would rather put up with that than fear going to hell.
Wow.
So this was part of what really turned me off religion. I did not believe that a loving God would allow any of these things to happen to a human being.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, okay, it's all made up. It's not real. It's
Mm-hmm.
about power and control and fear. So I rejected it all. And yeah, after about a year of trying to, persuade my mother to leave, I just gave up. I couldn't speak to her anymore. So I thought I cannot go on. And I went the town I was living at the time. I went to a bridge to jump in the water and not come out. And I was just leaning over the bridge and looking, and I was saying, if there's anything that can stop me doing this, I need it now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I felt a presence to my right, and I looked over, and there was like physically it looked like thousands of particles of light, kind of maybe as tall as a human, an adult human.
Mm.
And being an atheist, I was there. Oh, so you do exist.
Yeah.
And I don't know what that being was, if it was an angel or my guardian angel or Jesus or God. But I was so angry. I was saying, how could you let me go through this? How could you let
Mm.
people go through this suffering?
Mm.
I was, it wasn't like, okay, I've always often apologized to that being since, because there was a lot of swear words coming out. And, there was no judgment from this being, no judgment whatsoever, just clarity and telepathic communication.
Mm.
And this was kind of weird for an atheist, but it seemed perfectly normal. It was weirdly normal. And okay, so this is 1989. There was no internet. Ireland at the time was 95% Catholic. It was 3% Protestant and 2% I don't know what. But there was nobody spoke about reincarnation or the soul living forever. But I was told, um, if you kill your body, you will not die.
Mm.
You're an eternal being, and you will face this now, or you will face it another time. I said, what? So ending my life is not going to end the pain. And just as a mental health professional, I professionally deal with people who experience suicidality at the moment, and the research will tell you, and professional experience will tell you, that 99% of people who experience suicide, sorry, I'm using the wrong word, they experience the wish to die.
Mhm.
They, when first of all asking them, do you feel suicidal, is not going to make them take their life. That's
Mhm.
backed up by evidence-based research. And it's actually a relief that they can talk about it.
Mhm. Mhm.
So you might save somebody's life by asking them, do you feel suicidal?
Mhm.
Another question you ask is, if you could end the pain, would you choose another path? Would you choose life? 99% will say yes. So that was true for me also.
Yeah.
And I knew there was no way I could take my life, there's no way I was going to go through all that again.
Yeah.
So I just looked at this being of light and I said, you better effing make this worth my while if I choose to live. So not very, it was a spiritual experience, but it wasn't very reverent. And I walked around the town that night, cried loads. I went back to the place I was staying. There were about 5 guys in the house. We were all sharing the rent. They were having an argument, and I said, "Leave me alone, out of my way." And they left me alone that night. Normally, I'm a quiet person, but they knew to leave me alone. So that was the first step of 1,000 miles. But a year later, not even a year later, I moved to Dublin. The only place that you could get quality counselling at the time was in the Republic of Ireland, was in Dublin.
Yeah.
So rather than taking a 4-hour bus journey there, 4-hour bus journey back, I decided to move there. It was extremely difficult to get a job at the time, but I walked onto a building site, and this guy said to me, "Are you looking for a job?" And I said, "Yeah." So talk about synchronicity.
Yeah. That's wow.
I had tried 2 counselors already at the time, and one of them, I didn't feel they could help me. One of them really scared me. You
Mhm.
have to face your pain,
Mhm.
which is true, but how you speak to somebody really matters. I was in enough pain already. I didn't want to dig up more.
Yes.
The next one, um, I told her I was thinking about suicide, but she didn't have a clue. She panicked when I said that, and
Mm.
then I panicked when I saw her panic. So, as I heard once, not everybody graduates top of their class.
Mhm.
And even if you do, you need to know how to deal with people. It's not a counseling, psychotherapy, social work. It's not an academic only. If you rely on academics only, you will not succeed.
Yes, that's right.
You need a human touch.
Mhm.
So I went to the third counselor, and this was my last option in Dublin, and explained everything I was going through. And I said, is it possible for somebody to get through what I've been through?
Mhm.
And she smiled and she said, well, I've been through this, and I got through it, so can you. And okay, that was a relief straight away.
Yeah, I love that.
Then I didn't have a home at that time. I said, I'm afraid I'm going to be homeless forever. And she said to me, do you want to be? I said, of course I don't want to be. Why are you asking?
Um,
She said, well, you've got a choice. What choice do I have?
mhm.
Said, well, you've got a job. You're staying in a hostel. You can save money. You can look for accommodation. She gave me all the options. And I said, no, no, you don't know how bad I am. You don't know how broken I am. Let me explain to you. So she listened to what I believed were my justifications.
Mhm.
And she said, you still have a choice. So I decided, okay, I'll try. Not try, I'll give it a go. That's how we say it in Ireland. I'll give it a go. I'll give it a try. I said, I don't know how far I'll get, but I will just take one step at a time, day by day, see where I go. And things worked out really well. Can I tell you one other
Absolutely,
thing that happened?
absolutely. Thank you for
Okay,
sharing.
so
Mhm.
while I was in the hostel, um, it wasn't long, maybe a few months after I'd been down at that bridge, and um, I was lying in bed, not really believing in myself, not really believing I could manage through life or cope with life or consider being happy in life.
Mhm.
So I was in so much pain again. I said, okay, God, you told me I can't take my life because I'm an eternal being and I'll have to face this another time. I said, okay, I won't commit suicide, but I want you to take me tonight. I want to die tonight. Will you just take me, please?
Mhm. Mhm.
So I remember saying this over and over again until I fell asleep. Next thing, the spiritually transformative experience, where my soul, which was me, my true self, was walking in light, left and right, all over the place. It was like I was walking through an ancient Greek city. There were all these ancient Greek buildings, and it was pure light.
Mhm.
Next thing I noticed, there was somebody on my right walking beside me. And it was, hey, I haven't seen you for a long time. And we started talking, and I couldn't remember his name, but we knew each other well.
Mhm.
And he was like tall, wearing a long white robe. He had short, tight, curly hair, a short, curly beard. And I thought, you look like an ancient Greek person.
Mhm.
So I've called him the ancient Greek. And there were other beings there. They were about maybe 3 foot tall. They were different, but also beings of light.
Mhm.
They looked more humanoid. And they had something like hair, but it wasn't hair. It was like light in the shape of hair, if
Mhm.
that makes sense. So the next thing, there was a small man in front of us, small man with the long beard. He was like something out of Lord of the Rings, long gray hair, big beard, mustache, kind of stout, maybe again 3, 4 foot tall. And I was overwhelmed when
Yeah.
I saw this being,
Yeah.
and it was way more divine than anything else there. And I felt ashamed of my smallness and I felt unworthy to be in that pure, perfect presence. And I perceived it to be God. And I've always been saying God is not an little old man with a gray beard, but that's what I saw.
Wow.
And he knew I was overwhelmed,
Hmm.
and he turned to the ancient Greek and said, "Oh, will you deal with him?" And they had this conversation. Who's going to deal with him? Will you do it? Will you do it? Okay. And the ancient Greek says, "Okay, I'll deal with him." And I'm wondering, what are they talking about?
Hmm.
So I started to, the ancient Greeks showed me my life. And as far as I remember, it was like there was something like a book stand. You know, you could place a book on top of it and read the book. I don't remember if there was a book or not, but I was looking at all my life and I started to ask questions about everything that happened to me. The abuse, the fear, the loneliness, the isolation, everything. And I asked, why did all that happen? And I can't remember the answers, but there was a very clear answer for everything. And I was thinking, wow, everything makes sense. Now I understand.
Hmm.
And then he started to show me my whole future. Okay, so I was 20 years old at this stage. So I saw every aspect of my life from then on until my bodily death, whenever that's going to be.
Hmm.
And so everything that would happen to me, I didn't like everything that was going to happen. Some things were great. Some things I said, no, I don't like that. Can we change this? And the ancient Greeks said to me, yeah, we can change it. But here's what's going to happen if we do. Here are the consequences. And when I saw the consequences, I realized, oh, it's better that we leave things as planned. I think maybe we changed some little things where the consequences didn't really matter. Well, is there anything that doesn't matter? But they weren't going to be anything terrible.
Right.
But where others were going to be affected badly, and where I was going to be affected with pain, I said, okay, it's better to go through it than not.
Yeah.
So I know that I agreed to everything that has happened in my life since. As a human being, with my brain, there's no way I would choose some of the things I've been through.
Hmm.
But anytime I'm upset or I'm challenged or I'm worried, I realize there is a bigger picture. And I can't remember if this was part of the experience or if I made sense of it afterwards. Somehow I was able to see something like a big jigsaw puzzle, a huge jigsaw puzzle. But it wasn't a picture. It was like how all humanity interacts with each other, how all life interacts. And it's like one big life, one big picture. And we are all one. And what we do impacts on the whole. So the metaphor I use is a jigsaw puzzle. And I once took part in a project where we assembled a 24,000 piece jigsaw puzzle. It took 2 years.
Wow.
And that was with mental health service users. And it was to take on that challenge and go through all the psychological process of that challenge and to overcome it and to realize that we can do it. So this is as a professional I did this, but one piece was missing. We couldn't find one piece. And even though there were 23,999 other pieces, we were all looking at this one piece that was missing. And then one of my colleagues remembered, oh, I saw that on the floor previously and I put it in my handbag and I forgot it was there. She opened her handbag, took it out and put it in, and we all cheered.
Wow.
So, in a similar way,
Yeah.
we are like, whatever our contribution is, whether it's big or small, it contributes to the whole thing. And I was shown that and what my contribution would be. And I was so excited in that experience to think that I could do that, whatever it is. And here in my day-to-day life, it feels small, but I was very excited in that experience, and with the ancient Greek, who I now call my guardian angel, he asked me, "Are you ready to go back?" I said, "Yeah, let me back. I can't wait. I can't wait to get going on my mission." Next thing, I was back in my bed in the hostel, homeless, depressed. lonely, wondering how am I going to live through the next day. And I said, oh, I want to go back where I was. But it was a gift. Shortly after that, I dismissed it, but only in recent years I realized it was a gift.
Mm.
And I've been told since very few people receive that gift.
Mm. Charlie, I gotta tell you, thank you for sharing. I gotta be honest, when you started talking about the jigsaw puzzle, I just had so much emotion and just could feel the impact of that experience. Even you sharing it now, just I could feel the relief that people are going to have knowing that their one life, right? Their one presence, the energy that they are, no matter how small or large it may be in our minds, is significant. Without it, the
Yeah,
puzzle is not complete. And when you said it, I was glad I was off camera. It just, what a beautiful divine message, rooted in truth and in love. Thank you for sharing that.
you're
Yeah,
very welcome.
yeah.
You know what I'm thinking of as you're speaking? The reason I decided to study counseling and psychotherapy was a man called Viktor Frankl. Because I was going years and years and years. Anytime life would get tough, I decided at 22, I definitely was not going to end my life. And I stand by that. But for the next 20 years, anytime I felt pressure in life, the thought would come into my mind. And I would say, yeah, that's one option, which I'm not going to take. What other options do I have? And I would figure a way out and I'd get through it.
Mm, mm,
But then in what year? 2012 or 2013, I came across the works of Viktor Frankl.
mhm,
He was a psychiatrist, a neurologist, and a philosopher who was a spiritual person. And he brought spirituality into the realm of psychotherapy. He said, he's very like Plato from a philosophical point of view, said, we are a spirit. And that brings us back to the Course in Miracles, um, the lesson for today. We are not the body, we are the spirit.
mm,
We have a mind, we have a body.
mm,
They are our tools. But Viktor Frankl, he also was a prisoner in the Nazi concentration camps during World War II.
mm.
And I always had the impression that nobody survived more than a few weeks because it's so horrific there.
Yeah.
It was so horrific. He survived 3 years
Wow.
until the end of the war. And he helped so many people there. He had this belief that if you could find meaning in any situation, you would find a way through.
Mm,
So his life lesson was to go through that horrific experience of the concentration camp and still find meaning
mm,
every day. And he helped so many people, and so many people died by suicide in there because they lost hope. They used to run into the electric fence, or they were shot before they got there.
mm,
But he encouraged so many people to make the choice to live. His first book was called Say Yes to Life No Matter What.
mm, mm,
Okay, that was in German because he was from Austria. He spoke German. And the name has been changed to Man's Life for Meaning. But he said nobody is replaceable, not one person.
mm,
And if you take your life, there's a mission that you and only you could have fulfilled, and nobody else can fulfill that mission. There was one person he spoke to who was talking about ending his life, And he said, "Oh, why are you thinking about why are you thinking about that?" And he said, "I don't feel life has anything more to offer me." And Victor said to him, "Do you not think life is asking something from you?" So they discussed a little further, and he decided he was going to live because his daughter had escaped to America. And he thought maybe one day he could be reunited with her. So he chose to live for her. So he said, if you have a goal that's oriented towards the future, in service to another person, at least one person, and there's a spark of meaning in there, you can survive anything. And he proved that. And once I just absorbed his books. I'm not a great reader, but I absorbed his books, and it's like he was talking to me directly from the spiritual realm. It was a spiritual experience just reading his books, and no thought of suicide entered my mind
Wow,
after that
wow, that
for
is,
years. And by the way, having a professional like myself will tell you, having a thought of suicide doesn't mean you're going to do anything about it. Okay, but it's a very unpleasant thought anyway.
mm. Oh, thank you for that. I had another moment. Wow, you are powerful. Not that I didn't know that, Charlie. You are powerful. Yes, everything that you said. I'm impacted by
I just hope this is helping somebody out there. That's the whole point of being here
absolutely,
today.
absolutely, absolutely. I was gonna say I'm impacted by your courage. And I love that you are normalizing the conversation around uh, the desire, the wants, the desire to end your life. And so much of what you have said is so true. As you know, we've talked about that's how my journey, my spiritually transformative experience began is my desire to end my life. And you are right. It really isn't that a person wants to die. They want the pain to end. They want to be in peace. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's um
And when you think about it, you're just making me think as we're talking there, as you're
mhm,
speaking.
mhm,
Okay, you and I are alive today, and because we're alive, hopefully this conversation is helping others out there. Imagine if we didn't have the opportunity to have this conversation, how that would impact on others.
exactly, exactly. Yes, yes. What you said, one of the things you said, I have to revisit. Charlie, you talked about the importance of finding meaning. And
Mhm.
so when I was going through my craziness with my ex-husband, I used to go on lunch break at work during that time and would sit in my car and just bawl my eyes out. Yeah, right. And there were every now and then there would be I wouldn't say it was a voice. It was a thought that I knew was outside of myself because I could not imagine thinking that thought. I would think this thought, um, what if what if you can use this to help someone one day? And I just remember thinking, who is this? Are you crazy? Who am I going to help? I cannot help myself, right? Um, it was
Here's your brother.
it was the most absurd thought that that to me that was the most absurd thought. But you're right. If you're able to find meaning in your experience, it changes our perception of what we're going through. One of the lessons in A Course in Miracles states, I'm not a victim of the world I see. And once you really recognize, you know what? I'm going through this for a reason. There's an end point to this. And when I get
Yeah.
there, I'm going to bless myself and others. Once you begin to process your experiences in that way, you're right. It's a game changer.
Absolutely. And as you reminded me, that's how it was for me as well when I was 19 or 20. I remember walking around Dublin and I didn't even know I was having spiritual experiences. Just I could see the whole world was illusion. I was in the world, knowing I was not of it, but not knowing where I was from.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many weeks or months it went on, but the whole world looked like illusion.
Mhm.
And I just, if I can get through this pain, I will help others get through it too. That was my meaning.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
it can be a little thing as well. It doesn't. Who's to say what's big or small? I um I spoke to a client once who, again, I won't reveal confidentiality, but just to give people the idea. Um, Again, she was thinking about suicide and um, nothing was working. So I spoke to her. I was trying to help her find meaning, and I asked her about her values. What does she really value? Because there is the key. What do you value in life? And she had mentioned that she liked music. She liked to play music in the past, but she hadn't done so for years. And I asked her, okay, let's say you don't go for suicide. Okay, just forget for a moment, forget all your past,
Mhm.
and take this moment, every moment from here until the end of your natural life. Okay, and I said, say your life is over and people are talking about something fantastic that you did, something amazing, something wonderful. What would it be? And she said, the best thing I could imagine people saying about me is that I was kind.
Mm.
So I said, well, there's your meaning in life. You value kindness. So from now until every day for the rest of your life, you have the opportunity to be kind in some way or other.
Mm.
So we discussed different things. Said, yeah, there's a homeless shelter I could go to and maybe play music for people there, again, it's an act of service.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to be go to college and do something, create an organization. It can be just do something kind every day. We
Mm.
can all do that. But again, you cannot impose meaning on anyone. Everyone has to find it from within themselves.
Yes. Yes.
Because what's meaningful for you might not be for me, and vice versa.
Thank you so
But
much.
but, but I do think we have a lot in common.
We do have a lot in common. We knew that. We knew
Yeah.
that, Charlie. Ah, it's just yes. And when you asked her, that was number one. That's a great question to ask somebody who is in that space. What
Hmm.
is the one thing that people would say about you? Um, because it's an opportunity again to pivot the way of thinking. And when she said they would say that I was kind, I immediately thought we may not see a whole lot of value in that, but kindness is so,
Huge.
oh my gosh, right? It's love. There's
It
nothing
is.
small about kindness. Charlie, before you go, you have to tell us about your dream when everything fell apart. I think you were saying everything started falling apart around you, and then you looked
Yes.
around you and started building. Tell us about that.
Well, yes. In my early 20s, my life started coming together, and I was attending a school of philosophy. It wasn't an academic thing, it was kind of a spiritual journey for me. And we were learning about the universal principles at the heart of all philosophies and religions. And, it was what do we all have in common as humanity, no matter where we're from in the world or what time in history we've lived through? What do we have in common in humanity? And a guy came over from France, and he was amazing. Okay, this is not the dream. This is the school I was going to at the time.
Mhm.
And he had such a huge impact on me and on those around us. It felt like we were going to move to another level in our understanding. But yeah, I went to sleep that night, and after he had gone back to France, and I was dreaming we were in, it was actually the first house I grew up in till I was 13.
Mhm.
And we were in this room, and we were all sat around a table having a meeting. And next thing, the table started to shake. I tried to hold the table to stop it shaking. Okay, I've got a desk here in front of me. Started to hold the table, and next thing, the floor started shaking. And I was, how am I going to stop the floor? Next thing, the wall started to shake. It was like an earthquake, but it wasn't coming from the earth. It was everything. And I realized I cannot hold this together anymore. And everything started to crumble and fall apart. And the table collapsed on the floor. The walls came down. We were literally out in the open. And I was saying, oh, this is a mess. This is terrible.
Mhm.
And next thing, I saw a brick. And I thought to myself, that's a fine looking brick. And I picked it up and said, yeah, that's good quality. Then I saw another and another and another. And I thought to myself, okay, we could build something useful out of all these bricks.
Yeah.
So I decided I'm going to build a hospital for the soul,
Mhm.
a hospital for the soul. So this is another spiritual dream. And we built a huge hospital, several stories high, wide, deep. And I was standing outside looking at this fine, magnificent building. And I thought, now it's time to go in. It's time to start work. So I went into the reception area, and there was somebody sitting in the reception who I knew was far more capable than me. And I said, what are you doing here? You should be inside performing surgery, life-saving surgery.
Mhm.
And he said, there's no one to greet the people as they come in.
Mhm.
And I said, okay, I'll greet the people as they come in. You go ahead and do your operations, do your surgery, do your doctor thing, doctor for the soul.
Mhm. Wow.
So, and I think, psychologically, often things can fall apart,
Mhm.
but there's always opportunity in the chaos. You learn that from a psychological point of view.
Yeah.
And the ancient Greek word for crisis is means crisis in ancient Greek. Whatever the origin of that word, it means opportunity.
Mhm. Wow.
So all the difficult times I've been through, the abuse, the homelessness, the suicidality, the despair, I would say that has taught me a lot about the human condition for people who are suffering. And it gives me, it was life. I don't know if you say this in America, we call it the school of hard knocks.
Mhm. Mhm. We say that.
And I worked with a guy, he was in his 50s when I was in my 20s, and he said, I never went to college. I got my degree from the school of hard
Right
knocks.
back. Yes.
Okay, well, I guess I did too, and you did too.
Yes.
But it really helps you to understand what people are going through and the human condition. And I think it helps one to get in a situation where you have more empathy for another person
Yeah. Yes.
and more belief in what they can achieve. And sometimes you believe in someone more than they believe in themselves, but you keep that alive. You keep that belief alive.
Yes. Yes.
There was one other dream.
Okay. Okay.
Remember the one about the fish?
Yeah, I love that one. Let's talk about that one.
Okay, I think this is significant also
Yeah.
because hmm, I've got a friend who's a near-death experiencer called Brooke Grove, and she was the apart from myself, she was the next person who spoke about this, but at a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
So she, well, first of all, let me talk about doctors, and I work with doctors, and they're very compassionate people. Doctors have saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've had a tumor on my kidney, which was removed. It turned out to be benign, but I didn't know that for months.
Mm-hmm.
In December 2018, I nearly died from meningitis. Again, doctors saved my life.
Mm-hmm.
But that was the experience that really woke me up to spirituality, because at first I was afraid of dying. And then I started to meditate to calm myself, because I know that anxiety can weaken the immune system even more.
Yeah.
And I went into such a calm state. It was like a spiritual experience where I felt, I've been through this thousands of times before. It's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going to be okay no matter what happens. And there was a great peace came over me. And I said, yeah, everything will be okay, but I prefer to live because I've got children.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived, I survived.
Mm-hmm.
But so I'm not knocking doctors for sure,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't know everything.
Right.
And a doctor himself said to me, as I mentioned earlier on, not all graduate at top of their class, and some just about barely qualify.
Yeah.
So coming back to this, and again, coming back to the lesson from A Course in Miracles today, stand in your own power.
Mm-hmm.
This dream is about stand in your own power.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got to 28, my back was in a lot of pain. My hips were in so much pain. So I'd done martial arts, I'd done karate, kung fu. I was a runner, you know. I used to lift weights. You know, I was very, very strong and physical. By 28, my health just went downhill rapidly. Lots of chest infections, in pain all the time. So 28 to 33, I was in so much pain. I could not sleep at night. I couldn't sit, stand, or lie down without being in pain.
Wow. Wow.
So I would go to bed at night and couldn't find a comfortable, I couldn't find a comfortable position to lie in.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, out of exhaustion, I would fall asleep, and I'd wake up an hour or 2 hours later in excruciating pain. And when I get up in the morning, I would have to spend maybe half an hour just trying to move to, just to move, just so I could go get my breakfast or take a shower.
Yeah.
And I went to see an orthopedic surgeon, and he said to me, he took x-rays, and he said, some of your lower vertebrae have fused together. Your pelvis is twisted out of shape. And he said to me, I was going to end up in a wheelchair by the time I was 40. I was 33 at that stage. So I said, oh no. And I would have a life in a wheelchair on painkillers. And anyway, shortly after that, I started a new job in community development. That was a great job, intercultural integration. Really loved it. But my manager, she said to me, okay, I know this is kind of personal. She was very kind. She said, I know this is kind of personal, but I notice every time you're stressed, your pain, your physical pain increases. And she told me about an osteopath who could help me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I'll think about it. And somebody else said to me, when you're desperate enough, you'll go. But anyway, I went to sleep one of those nights after that conversation, and I dreamt I was standing on the side of a river fishing. And it was kind of, you know, a little bit bright, but the sun was close to going down, so it was kind of dark. Not quite dark, but kind of dark. And there's a guy on my left standing behind me, watching me catching fish. So I pulled in the line, and there were two fish on the line. One was, they were kind of like that on the line. One was longer than the other.
Mm-hmm.
And I said to the guy, oh, that's really unusual. I've never seen this before.
Mhm.
And he said to me, "You need both."
Mm.
I explained, "No, no, no. I'm not saying I need both. I'm just saying it's unusual. It's strange. I've never seen or heard of this before." And he said, "You need both."
Mm.
And I thought, "You're not hearing me. You're not listening. I don't care if I need them or not. I'm just saying it's strange." He kept saying, "You need both." And I gave up talking to this guy. I said it about 5 times. And yeah, I had that dream. That was the dream. I woke up and got on with my life, thought nothing of it. Eventually, I decided to go to the osteopath. And in his assessment, he started asking about my life history.
Mm.
So I told him about the background I come from, the abuse, the depression, suicidality that I'd been through. I told him everything. I didn't hold back. And he said, "I can do some osteopathy on you, but if you really want to be okay, you're going to need counseling as well." Now, remember, the orthopedic surgeon said to me, "You'll be in a wheelchair within the next 7 years."
Mhm.
And he was saying, I can help you to heal, but you're going to have to do counseling as well as the osteopathy." And I
Mhm.
said, "I've done counseling before. It helped me as much as it could. And very painful looking at all those things. I don't want to dig them up again."
Mhm.
And he encouraged me to do it. And I was there, "No, no, no, I'm not doing that." And eventually I said to him, "If I don't do counseling, what are my options? What's going to happen?" And he said, "Well, I can do osteopathy. It's not going to have a good effect. You're going to be in pain. Painkillers are your only option." And I said, "What do I have to do to get really healed, really cured?" He said, uh, "Osteopathy and counseling." I said, "If you really want to be healed, you need both." And as soon as he said, "You need both," I remembered my dream and I was dumbstruck
Mm. Oh my God.
looking at him because I realized he was the guy in my dream,
Wow.
the very same guy. I said, "Okay, I'll do both."
Wow.
Uh, and I remember talking to somebody I knew, telling her about the dream and meeting this guy, and it kind of freaked her out a little bit. And I said, I remember she was saying, "Don't look me in the eyes, don't look in my eyes." She said, "Are you a witch doctor?" So I said, "I'm going to make a prediction. I bet the other guy is short and has a beard also." And when I met him, he was short and he had a beard. So they were the two fish, the osteopath and the counselor.
Counselor.
But I had to, the osteopathy stirred up the emotion,
Mm.
and then the counseling was to deal with the emotion.
Mm.
But I came back from osteopathy and I started to cry uncontrollably for, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours.
Mm.
But when I got that emotional pain out, immediately I noticed my physical pain starting to go. So that physical pain I was carrying in me, that physical illness I was carrying in me, that was unresolved trauma. And within 6 months, apart from a little pain in my hip because I'm getting older, my hip is a little bit worn, but my back was fine. My vertebrae were no longer fused. My pelvis had come back into the right shape. And at 41, I took up a whole new style of karate, not
Wow.
a wheelchair, karate.
Wow.
And it was a martial art I'd seen in my early 20s, and I thought if I ever do another martial art, I want it to be that one. And the town I moved to, the European headquarters of that martial art, was 5 minutes drive from where I
Wow.
was living. So I
Beautiful, beautiful,
had a
beautiful.
world-class instructor.
Wow, beautiful story. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. You need both.
you need both. And Brooke Grove, she's a near-death experiencer. Her stories on YouTube as well. As soon as I saw her on YouTube doing her first interview, I knew her in the soul straight away. And it was, oh, I haven't seen you in a long time. And my soul knew her and had this tremendous love for
Mhm.
her.
Mhm.
My brain was saying, what are you talking about? You don't know her. And then I heard this telepathic voice saying, make contact with her.
Wow.
And I said to the voice, well, I don't even know where in the world she is, and I don't know how to contact her. So there, I win. And then it sounded ridiculous. I said, why am I talking to a telepathic voice, and who is it anyway? But yeah, I was on a Zoom group. It was pandemic time. I was on a Zoom group, and I knew the guy who was organizing the Zoom, and it turned out he knew Brooke as well. They were friends, and he introduced us. So, but the reason I'm mentioning her is that she she came back from her near-death experience as a healer, and she talks extensively about standing in your own power and overcoming trauma to heal physical illness. You know what happens? Well, it gets to physical illness. That's the final layer.
Yes.
It's happening. I don't exactly know how it's happening, but it happens psychologically, emotionally, mentally first. It's in
Mhm.
the idea. It's in the thought.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, don't know if you want me to say anything else or.
Us, let me tell you, we could talk another 2 hours, Charlie. I'm gonna tell you. That's profound. You need both. That's gonna stick. Of course, the meaning of that is we're whole individuals. And I love, as I've told you before, that the doctor had the presence and the wisdom to understand that if you just try to treat the symptoms,
Mhm.
it will not be very lasting and effective. You need the right kind of therapy. You need to deal with those emotional traumas to release what's going on in the body. I have,
Yes, and in a
go
safe
ahead.
way. In a safe way.
In the
This
face
cannot be forced.
and so speaking of that, I want you to talk about the counseling that you offer because let me tell you, I don't have to tell you, you have such a profound understanding through your experience. Um, that you know this, you are powerful as a psychotherapist and a counselor. Do you offer counseling over the phone? And
At
if
this stage, no. I
okay.
did have a company called the Noetic Center, so I could do
Mhm.
my own thing. But
Mhm.
currently, I work for a government mental health service here in Ireland. And
Mhm.
I need to point out I'm not speaking on their behalf today.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, this is me speaking, but
Mhm.
that's where I work. And currently, it's with older people over 65s who have a lot of people will have dementia. Some people might have bipolar or depression or schizophrenia, but dementia will be the main thing, or depression. Yeah.
Well, Charlie, um, I have to say before we close out, uh, I'm not missing the beautiful butterflies behind you. Can you talk a
Yes.
little bit about what butterflies mean to you?
Oh, yes. I love butterflies. This is a painting by my son, which he did when he was 13.
Mhm.
It was the summer between primary school and secondary school, and I just loved it when I saw it. And if you see it up close, the butterfly seems to come off the page. But okay, butterflies. I have a lovely Greek friend who she knows who she is if she's watching.
Mm.
Uh, Real sweet lady. But she went back to Greece sometime in the summer, I think. Yeah, she goes every summer. But I took a photograph of a butterfly in my garden and I just sent it to her. And then she sent one back to me. A butterfly had landed on her book on the beach and stayed there for her to take a photograph. And I was looking at the butterfly, and then I was looking at the book, And I zoomed in on the book, and it said, this book is from the author of The Light Within That We Cannot See.
Wow.
And I said it already, that's a message, that's a synchronicity there.
Yeah.
Now, as I said to my friend, the butterfly is an ancient symbol from Greece of the soul, of the psyche. I think butterfly in Greek is psyche, which is your psychological, but it's a symbol of the soul. So you have the butterfly comes from a caterpillar, which is a creature that crawls along the earth and
Mm,
has all that potential within to transform into something beautiful that no longer needs to crawl on the earth but can fly.
mm, 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 mm.
So the Greeks used that sacred symbol to depict to represent the potential of humanity.
Mhm,
Here we are crawling on the earth, but when we realize our potential, we can fly. Now, I went to a place called the Sanctuary
mhm,
not long after that. I think it was a day or two later. The Sanctuary is run by Loretta Byrne, who I mentioned earlier on, who's a near-death experiencer and a channeler. She walks between two worlds all the time. You're walking beside her and you say, "Are there any angels here?" Say, "Oh, yeah, now that you mention it, yes, there are."
wow, love
But
it.
even when you go into the sanctuary, I've gone there on my own at times to do voluntary work just for the peace of the place. And as soon as you drive in, you feel the peace coming over you.
Mhm,
But on this particular occasion, I did a weekend workshop with her, and there were hundreds of butterflies, more than you would normally ever see. And after seeing my friend's book or with the butterfly on it and the light within that we do not see, then going to the sanctuary, seeing butterflies everywhere, I just said to who I call my guardian angel, the ancient Greek, who I've seen since, by the way, since that spiritual experience. I said, "You give me a sign."
mhm,
I said, "If you give me a sign, just let me know." So I walked into the building then, and there was a table in the hallway, just inside the door, and there was a book on the table. The title of the book was Butterflies, and pictures of butterflies. I said, "Okay, it's a sign."
yes.
And then anytime I've come back to the sanctuary then, which has helped me in my own spiritual growth, I've seen butterflies. Even like butterflies you see in maybe in June, July and August, you see them and that's it. I've
Mhm,
been there in November and seen a butterfly. I went back 3 weeks later at the end of November and one of my friends said, "I saw a butterfly," you know? And then in March, there's a few of us. We've a friend in Malta. There's one in England. There's someone down the very southern tip of Ireland,
mhm,
and sometimes everybody lands in Ireland together to go to the sanctuary. So I went again in March. I didn't go to the sanctuary, but I went to meet them in a cafe, and we were talking, and I felt I needed some praying at the time. It was a few weeks ago. I was going through a difficult time. And they said, "Yeah, we'll pray with you." So we went outside the cafe to sit at a table out in the open, and a butterfly goes past.
love it.
Funny story, actually. While we were in the cafe, there's a shop there, and in the greeting, there were greeting cards behind me, and one of my friends said, "Charlie, Charlie, look, a butterfly." I said, "What? In March?" And I turned around, and one of the greeting cards was in the shape of a butterfly. And then this other guy comes in who's in our group. He has a thing for unicorns. And I kid you not, about 10 minutes later, she calls the guy and says, "Look, there's a unicorn." It was not a real unicorn, obviously, but there was a toy unicorn. So I was saying it's kind of funny, like he does martial arts too. And I said, here we are, two men who do martial arts, and we're into unicorns and butterflies.
I love
Not
it.
average.
Love it. I love it. I love it. The divine masculine. I love it. Before we close out, do you have any closing words of wisdom for the viewers? Charlie, it's been incredible talking to you.
Yeah, it's been lovely talking to you. I'm really happy I did this. I'm thinking of the lesson from Course in Miracles,
Mhm,
the theme for today.
mhm.
You told me about this a few days ago, and I was looking over it. And the piece I remember is miracles are seen in the light.
Yes.
The eyes of the body cannot see, but
Mhm.
I am not a body. What am I?
I am not a body. I am free.
I am what?
I am free. I'm
I am
not a
free.
body. I am free. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So I would say to anyone who's going through any difficult time, know that your pain feels real, your body feels real, and for me too, even today. But that is not who you are.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right.
You are much more. And there is a lesson, there's meaning in every experience, even if you cannot see it now.
That's right.
Wait till you get to the end of the lesson that life is teaching you.
Mm,
Find the meaning in it and it will help you grow. And not only that, when you grow, you help others also. So stay there, stay with it.
yes. Thank you so much. If people wanted to contact you, are you open to that, Charlie? I don't know. If you're
Um,
that, no pressure, but if they wanted to contact you, do you have a way?
I don't have a website, I don't have a company or anything like that.
Mhm.
Oh, I told you recently I was encouraged to open a branch of IANS in Ireland,
Okay.
and I got an email today from somebody from the board of IANS said, yeah, I encourage you to do the same. So I will be contactable through IANS website in the future,
Okay.
hopefully before the end of this year.
Okay.
Um, I'll give my Facebook.
Perfect.
So if yeah, people can contact me on Facebook. I have to say I am wary of scams. You know, sometimes
Mm-hmm.
scam artists do try to get me on Facebook. So just be clear about who you are.
I love
And if you have a genuine question, hopefully I can answer it.
I love it. I love it. I'm the same way, Charlie, on social media. Yeah, Charlie, this has been such a rich experience. Oh, this has been a full experience talking to you. And I wanted to read you your closing remarks. Um, you've been very generous with your time today. So your closing remarks are, Charlie, when you first told me about the dream you had, when everything fell apart around you, and you began to pick up the bricks to build a place of healing for others, I thought, wow, what a perfect analogy for Charlie's life. You have experienced the lower vibrations of wanting to die and have gone through the density of depression and suffering. And as you regained your strength, you looked around you and you began to pick up the gifts that those heavy energies offer you. You established a solid foundation of recognizing the truth of who you are as a divine being of light. You then built upon that foundation the knowledge that everyone else are also fractals of God as well. You then continue to construct layer upon layer of wisdom and knowledge you've acquired through the years. And you added to that the education and skill that is required to work within the mental health arena. After that, to reach even more people, you added to your structure the science behind spiritual experiences to validate others around you. And over time, you have built and built until you reach the top of your hospital of healing. And you carefully place the precepts of compassion, truth, and love as the final rooftop to make your structure complete as a safe space for others to heal, free of judgment and fear. Charlie, your dream was the most accurate imagery of your life. The work you are doing in the arena of counseling and therapy are indeed one of the many things your guardian angel was referencing when he told you that you would make a difference in this world. Thank you for being here. That statement is loaded with symbology and sincerity. Thank you for being here. Thank you for looking around and recognizing the ways that you could use the rubble and chaos to serve yourself and others. You truly are a light warrior in every essence of the word, Charlie. It takes courage to do this. It takes courage to do this. It has been a pleasure to have you on the show. I'm just tickled. This is beautiful. I cannot wait to load this up for people to be healed by your words, to understand the wisdom you've shared. You pack a powerful love and light that you carry around you. It's beautiful. It's very impactful interacting with you. I hope you know that. So thank you
Thank you so much, Loretta.
with us. Yeah.
I can't believe you're talking about me in that way.
Yes, absolutely.
I'll tell you one thing, Loretta,
Mhm.
I'm loving your vibe, and you're of the same quality. But just for anyone out there, I've never felt special in life. I'm an ordinary guy in so many ways, and if I can do what you described, anyone can do it.
Mm,
Absolutely anyone.
mhm. And you're right. We all hold that power, Charlie. We all hold that power. Every single one of us.
Yeah,
Every
can I
single
just say one more thing?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not done yet. I'm still building.
Not done yet. I know that's right. You aren't. You aren't. So Charlie, we end with the hearts.
Yep.
Yes, I love it. Thank you, everyone who have tuned in with us today. Some parts might bring you to tears. It definitely did to me. I had to take some inhales, and thank y'all for joining the show. I appreciate it, each and every last one of you. We didn't get to talk about Charlie's YouTube channel, but he has a YouTube channel, y'all. It's what is it called?
Oh, it's from I don't add anything to it anymore. It's
Okay.
called the Noetic Center, and that was me 3 years ago. Less confident than I am now. Wishing I was more authentic than I was able to be at that stage. So I guess you can see some of my growth in the last couple of years.
So I
Well,
will have that in the description box, y'all.
okay.
And again, Charlie can be reached on his Facebook page. So I love y'all. And until next time, y'all, until next time, we will see each other again. Love you. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.